Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at the Purewell gravity-fed water filtration system. As a preppers, we're aware how important the water is. And yes, currently, whilst we'll still have the water running from our taps, unfortunately, the quality of the water is absolutely abysmal. So to be able to have something in a house that you can filter the water before either drinking this or cooking your pasta or rices, I think it's a rather good idea. So Purewell kindly offered me one of those for the review. Check out their website. They do have them in different colors, different sizes. The choice is amazing. But in this instance, we're going to be looking at the 2.25 gallons, which is approximately 8.5 litre. So far, right, what I really like about this, it is actually stainless steel, food grade stainless steel, which is amazing. So you don't have to be worrying about extra sort of plastics in your water. The other thing is the advantage so far is actually has a level, the water level indicator, which majority of the filters I don't think actually have anything. So you half of the time end up guessing how much water you have. So to be able to see the water level, I think is really, really good idea. But the best things of all, right? Are you ready for this one? This actually comes with two types of filters, which I think is absolutely amazing. So we'll have our normal carbon filters on the top, and we also do have a fluoride filters. I think this is the only one on the market that I'm aware of that actually offer that amount of filtration. So without further ado, guys, let's get this out of the box, see what it comes with, assemble this together, and give it a try. So voila, everything is now out of the box. So there we are. Look, this is the base of that. You can see the little window here for the water indicator, or a water window, in fact. So which is rather handy. We've got the hole here for the tap, which we'll screw on later on. And then we've got the top part of the filter here. And you've got the holes in there for, obviously, to put our filters, which we'll deal with later on as well. So looks like we've got a lid. You've got the hole here to have a little handle. We've got the rubber base to go in our stand, which is here. So obviously the idea is it's raised off the ground, so off the worktop, so when you put stuff underneath it, you've got room to put your water, whatever. So that goes on the top. Then we've got filters, which we'll show in a minute. We've got the manual. Here we've got another tap. We've got some, we've got screwdriver, basically bits to help you assemble the system all together. We've got a nice metal tap here. Okay, that's good. Here we go now. Metal tap there. And you've got some fixtures to help us fit it in. Right, okay. So this is what we've got. And of course, yes, we have the two lots of filters. As I said, guys, so far, what I'm really loving about this is to have two lots of different filters. So if you've got your carbon filters here, right, it comes with obviously the instructions what to do. And we do have a little manual for those filters too. So it tells us here that we need to prime the filters, run the water through them, make sure the waters come through. But anyway, it tells us all in there here. So that's them. And then my favorite part, right, get that in, is the fluoride filters. So they are essentially a 5-stage filtration. So we've got the 3 times PP cotton, activated carbon, and alumina, right? So that's 5-stage filtration on the top of what we already have in here to be able to take a fluoride out. That's great. It tells us there you've got the food grade materials. So apparently this is cost effective. We've got 1,000 gallons of filtered water per pair, or 12 months of optimal performance. That's really good. So yeah, here we go. So it gives us indicator here. So we need to be attaching those two together. But again, we have to be priming those filters as well, which we will do. And then we've got a little manual here. And I suppose it just tells us information, obviously types of the filters you can have, what sort of they can filter. Tell us there about the priming the filters as well, which is really, really important to make sure we wash all the debris, all the loose particles and that kind of thing. And it basically just gives us rough indications on how to assemble that together and how to assemble the tap. Pretty much straightforward, but a couple of languages in there, but all good. So basically, yeah, just some basic information there. So there we are then. So according to the instructions, right, for us to assemble this, we need to obviously put the base on, put the, not the base, the non-slip base, put that in, and then we need to be dealing with filters. So what we're going to do, I'm going to be priming the filters off the camera. It's all self-explanatory. Tell us what to do there. Screw certain things and put them under the tap. Make sure they're done. So we're going to be dealing with that. We're going to put them in, assemble that all together, and then I'll see you when it's done. So there we are, it is now assembled. We opted out for a stainless steel tap. You seem to have another black tap here, whether it's just you guys can make a choice because they come in the different colors just to match it, or it's just a spare tap. We're going for the stainless steel one. We've done the filters, okay, we have primed the filters. It's very, very important. So I show you now, if I take the lid off, we screwed on the little handle on the top, and basically the filters, so we've got our charcoal filters at the top. Okay, and then we've got the fluoride filters that are actually screwed on at the bottom. Right, both have been primed pretty much the similar way. After you just unpackage them, you've got like little things you have to put on the top, then put this under the tap to flash through the inside. Wait for this to start sort of perforating outside for a few seconds, and then obviously rinse them on the outside as well. It seems to be very straightforward, very easy. It does tell you everything on the little manuals for each filter as well. Make sure they're all washed and cleaned, and then of course put them in. So now I'm rather happy. I think it looks rather smart. So next thing is meant to do is we're meant to be putting the water in and run the system at least 3 times. It's basically to make sure if there's anything been dislodged from the filters, it comes out, so we can basically make sure that the water in the end will be as pure as possible. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to run the system 3 times. I'm not going to film that because it's going to take a little while for the system to dribble through. But then after we're done, we're going to put this the final time. It's actually one of the really important things to remember when you do put the water in there. Make sure you put enough water, because obviously this is a gravity water system. It works by means of gravity, so you have to make sure you do have enough of water there so it dribbles in nicely, otherwise you could be there all day. So anyway, let me get this done and I'll see you in a few hours. So guys, there we are, we're finally here. So it did suggest in the manual that we run this system for at least 3 times, or the best 3 to 5 times, to make sure that we clear the filters properly, make sure that the water tastes nice and doesn't smell of anything and doesn't have any sort of funny taste to it. So I've done it 3 times and I seem to be happy with the results. So the first time, it's taken approximately an hour and a half to make sure we filter the majority of the water all the way down. Of course, there seems to be a little bit of water always going to be staying at the bottom due to the gravity effects. This is totally understandable. But after doing this once, the water seemed to flow just a little bit better, and it just took over an hour to fill up the hole from the top to the bottom. Of course, as well, it's important to understand that I'm using 2 lots of different filters. So we have a 2 charcoal at the top and the 2 fluorides at the bottom. So that kind of slows down the process just a little bit. But nonetheless, it's not kind of relevant in those kind of filters. But because I still have some water down there, I just wanted to really show you. Right, this is the 2 filters at the bottom, 2 are at the top, and you can see it's slowly dripping down. See, in those kind of filters, the idea is you kind of take some water out, you put some water in. Obviously, I know it's a common sense, but it's important to remember that you cannot fill up the top of the filter if you still have a full container at the bottom filled with water, because the water is just going to overflow. I know it's a common sense, but something to bear in mind. So the idea is with them, I'm pretty sure you understand, is you take some water out, make sure you deplete this halfway through or less, and then you top it up on the top to make sure it goes. But the main thing, to make sure that there is plenty of water on the top to make sure that gravity can do the work and filter the water down. So next thing as well, right, the tap was a little bit, not say a bit of concern, but I have experienced some issues with the taps before where they just really don't seem to flow really well. So when I tested this one, I was actually rather happy. So this is the stainless steel tap that comes with the system. And if I just put this on, right, the water flow, it's really, really good. I'm really super happy, because the last thing you want, especially I think if you're using this to say fill in your coffee machine or fill up the pot to boil the pasta, you really don't want to stand there for half a day filling up your container, because it's just a little bit irritating. But that seemed to work really, really well, which I'm happy. So anyway, so now we're talking about obviously the final results. So we have here 2 lots of different filters, a lot of filtration. Of course, if you don't have a problem with the fluoride, you don't need to worry about having the fluoride filters, but they are optional. And I know there are a lot of issues with the water and the fluoride added on, and in obviously the excess quantities is not really good for health. So if your water does have a lot of fluoride added, then the bottom filters are really, really good idea. To be fair, because they do have a 5-way filtration, I think it's just generally just a good idea to reduce the solids in the water, which generally I think is really good. So some of you might again wonder, thinking, oh, can we do like a TDS test on the water, which I've done before. But to be fair, in this instance, because we are having the carbon filters, right, it's inevitable that over the time, especially when they're new, running through, they will release some trace minerals in the water. So the TDS will pick them up. So technically, after filtering your water, your TDS meter will potentially read a little bit higher. But the trace elements that will end up being in your water are something like a carbon or calcium or magnesium, which are actually good for our health anyway, and they're making the water taste just that a little bit better. So technically it is pointless doing that, but we do know, guys, that obviously those filters do their job properly. They filter majority of the things, and especially fluoride in many cases for people who are actually worried about that kind of thing. So anyway, so there we are, really. This is literally as simple as that. It's a nice little unit. It seems to be really well built. The finish is good. It's nice to have the rubberized bit on the feet here, rubber here to support the pot from moving. Not like it's going to be going anywhere anyway. Nice polished finish on the stainless steel. Tap is good. Display, I think, is a really good idea. So generally, it's nice and solid looking unit. And of course, guys, whether you're a prepper or not a prepper, we know that the water is really important. And I think having an ability to make sure we can take out as much of the nasties from our water on a daily basis is actually very, very good idea. So anyway, of course, guys, I'm going to be putting all the information down below in the description, links and discounts. Otherwise, well, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, thumbs up, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye.